Hi there, Darren here from 365 Assist. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can get a list of documents from a SharePoint library using Power Automate. So I've got a lot of documents that are all in different sites and libraries, and I just don't know what all of them are and where I can get them, etc. So this Power Automate is going to run through all my sites and all my libraries to find out all the documents, list all the documents I have, so I have a nice good list I can filter through, and the list will be in Excel. So let me show you how I did it. So the first thing to do is create an Excel sheet that has a table in it. This is where the data, the results are all going to go. And in that table, there are a few columns that gets the fields from the Power Automate. The first one's the full path. Then we're going to capture the file name with the extension. We're going to identify as it a folder, probably won't be, but it's worth capturing. And then the link to that particular file, which will be really long. So that's what I'm capturing. You don't have to capture all these, but that's what I'm capturing in mine. So let's go through the flow that I'm going to use to build this list. It's just a manual trigger, an instant trigger is what I'm using in this case. Now, in this case, I'll put a link to a previous video where I showed how to get all the SharePoint sites that you have access to. Now, you don't have to do it this way. You can just choose an individual site of which you want to get the documents from. But I thought this would be a nice cohesion if you wanted to get all the sites you've got access to. So I've got another sheet in here, in my sheet that has, based on the other video, of all the sites that I have access to through a table. So I'll put a link somewhere for that as well. And that's just this list presented in a table that lists that table, table 1, which is the list of sites. But as I said, you can do an individual one. That's why I've going to apply to each here. But the first thing you want is, in true sense, is to get all the lists and libraries a SharePoint action. And in this case, this is the site address. And because it's reading that table in Excel, it's going to pick up every address that it does in that. But again, you could just hard code this to a particular site address, to one site rather than a whole list of them to do that. The next step within that is another apply to each. So the value here is the value getting out the get lists if you want. And then I've got a condition here. And the idea of the condition is in this get lists and libraries, see it says get all lists and libraries. I actually don't want the lists. I only want the libraries, right? And I'm not interested in getting lists or anything in that list. If you do, you don't need this condition. And this condition gets the type. So I need to get a column called type from that get all. If I select it here, I'm not going to be able to see it in my dynamic content here. You actually need to type in the apply to each, and it's of field type. So it's items there under the little icon there, mouse item there, in commas apply to each, or my apply to each is apply to each 2, whatever yours is called, and then in brackets, question mark in brackets, square brackets is type. So I'm looking for the type, and it's equal to 101. There's 100 and 101. You can see that in the results of the get all libraries. You'll see that there'll be 2 different types. I'm looking for the 101, which equates to a get only libraries. So then obviously if it's a list, I don't care. I don't need to do anything. So I'll leave the if no as blank, but it's the if yes. If it is a library, what do I want to do? Well, I need to get the file properties only of that particular file that's come out of that library. So again, I'm choosing the site name. Again, you can choose one particular site name, but I'm getting my list of site names from that spreadsheet further up. I'm getting the display name. The library name is the display name that comes out of the get lists and libraries. Okay, that's that display name there. And I want to include nested items in this as well. So I'm getting that. And because I'm getting that get files is a group of files, it's coming along with a number of them. Again, I need to put an apply to each. You probably need to manually do that. And the value is the value of the get files properties. So I'm getting that you want to get from the get files property here, the value from that. And now the last piece of action I need to do is just add the rows into the table in that Excel. So my Excel location is in OneDrive. There's the SharePoint list spreadsheet that I've got the table. And then I start to put stuff in here. Again, the site name, again, comes from that original spreadsheet. The full path I'm grabbing from there as well. These ones are actually going to need to get coded in, right? So again, it's the apply to each. The word you want in brackets is full path here. If I remember, I'll put it in the description. Same with file name, with extension. You need to actually type those in as an expression here. So you will need to type them as expressions, not grab. They won't be able to be grabbed from the dynamic content. And then this is folder is an expression as well, and link as well. So you would, you could just grab that, and it should be in the expression here. So that's what you want to do, is use as an expression. I'm just going to take these little first things out, but that's what you'll be doing. That apply to each link. That's what it will look for, and same with full path, file name and extension, and is folder, depending on what you want to grab, right? Because you may not want to grab all these. You may want to grab your own thing, but they're the ones I've grabbed. And so now let me just test this, and we'll see what results come out from it. So I'll hit the test, run the flow, and give it a test and see what comes out. Now, mine's still going. It's taking a few minutes. If you've got a large amount of sites and libraries and documents, you've got a lot of them, this could take many hours. So you might want to not do it all at once if you've got a time constraint, and just pick the sites you want, or the libraries you want. You want to filter on that. But it's still going. But anyway, let's look at the spreadsheet. So you can start to see here some good results. In the site, I've got all my different sites here that I've got. I've actually got the full path of those documents as they're coming through. I've got the file with the extensions. And you can see here, is it a folder? So this My Files is actually a folder, not a file, which is good to know. You could use Spreadsheet to filter that out. I mean, you could do it in your automation as well. And then here is the link. If you wanted to, you could actually copy this link into your site, and you could open it up directly there for using that URL. So there's good results here. I'll just keep going down. There's quite a few. It's just gone for ages. So there's quite a lot of documents in this one. So that's a good result. So I hope that video explained to you well enough how you can get your list of documents from those SharePoint libraries. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe when I do put new videos up here. It might help you. Thanks a lot again.